Okay, so the distributive property of multiplication is actually something, it sounds like this really long, scary thing, but it's actually something that I didn't realize this when I was in middle school, but when I was older, I realized that I learned it when I was in like third grade. So when I learned to do regular multiplication, we're just going to talk about regular multiplication really quick. Regular multiplication. So the way that I learned to multiply a number, let's say I was going to do 26 times 3. The way that my teacher taught me to do this was to take the 3 and multiply it by 6 and write 18. And then they always would tell me to bring down the 0. But one time, and then they would tell me to do 3 times 2, which is 60. And then I add those two things together, and I get 78. So that should be my answer. So what I didn't really realize when I was doing this until one of my teachers told me is that what I'm really doing is I'm doing 3 times 6. A lot of students think you're doing 3 times 6 and then 3 times 2. But what you're really doing is you're doing the first thing that you do is you do 3 times 6. 3 times 6. But then you also are doing, where did the 60 come from? How did I get 60? Well, it's not because I did 3 times 2. It's because this 2 is the number from the number 26. The 2 is 20. It's not 2, it's 20. And what we're doing is we're doing 3 times 20. And then we're adding those things together. So if that makes sense, then the way that we can think about this is I know that 26 is equal to 20 plus 6. And 26 times, well, let's use a different color here. 26 times 3 is equal to 20 times 3 plus 6 times 3. So my answer is 26 times 3 is 78. 20 times 3 is 60. And 6 times 3 is 18. So if you understand this, then you understand the distributive property of multiplication. The distributive property of multiplication works like this. Let's see, let me finish writing this in. So 78 equals 60 plus 18. So the way the actual distributive property works is that if 26, that 20 plus 6 is 20, like if 26 equals 20 plus 6, then if I multiply 20 plus 6, that it is the same, if I multiply 20 plus 6 times 3, that is the same as multiplying the 20 times 3, and then also the 6 times 3, 3 times 6, like that. And so as a general concept, we write it like this. We write any number times two numbers that are being added together is equal to that same number times the first number plus the multiplied number times the second number. So it doesn't really matter how which one you do that with, and it also works with I'm not going to use pink. It also works with subtraction. So if I have A times B minus C, that is going to equal A times B minus A times C. So that's how the distributive property works. So when I do a number like 3 times 26, right, 26 is just 20, is just 26. So when I do that, when you do that regular multiplication like we were doing back here at the beginning, what we're really doing is we're doing the distributive property. We're multiplying 3 times 20 and 3 times 6. And then we're just adding those things. We're adding the 3 times 20 plus the 3 times 6 together, and that's how we get our answer. So you've really been doing this the whole time. So the thing where it gets weird, though, is when we have variables. So what you guys are going to be seeing this year is you guys are going to be seeing things like this. 3 times x plus 4, something like that. And when you see 3 times x plus 4, what it means is that you're going to do 3 times the 3 times the x plus 3 times the 4. And so I know that 3 times 4 is 12, and I know that 3 times x is 3x. So whenever I see a number like 3 times x plus 4, what I'm going to do is what I'm really going to be doing is I'm going to be taking 3 times x and multiplying, and that's going to give me this, and then I'm going to do 3 times, that's going to give me 3x, and then I'm going to do 3 times 4, and that's going to give me 12. 3 times 4 gave me 3 times 4, and 3 times x gave me 3 times x. So what you do is you take the number outside of the equation and you multiply it by, or outside of the parentheses, and you multiply it by all numbers inside of the parentheses. Now what happens if you see, let's try another one. What happens if you see something like this? 3 times 2a plus, it doesn't matter, -5. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do 3 times 2a. So 2a means 2 times a. So this is going to be 3 times 2 times a. So that is going to equal 3 times 2 is 6 times a is 6a. And then on the other side, we have 3 times -5. And so 3 times -5 is -15. So I'm going to have, I'm going to put that in parentheses here. And it will be 3 times -5 is 15. So 6a plus 15 is what I would get there. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is one thing that you may see a lot of is sometimes you'll see something like this, and then you'll see minus, and then you'll see the parentheses. So if you see something that's like, I don't know, 4a minus 6, something like that, or 4y, it doesn't. You know what? I already used a, so I'm going to change my variable. It doesn't matter what variable you're using. So if you see 4a minus, subtracting 4y minus 6, let's even put, let's even put a number in front of here, 5 minus 4y minus 6. So what we're going to focus on is just the parentheses part. But the really important thing to think about with the distributive property is when you don't see a number in front of the 4y minus 6, when you don't see a number in front of the parentheses at all, what that means is that there's actually, when there's no number there, it's a hidden 1. It's just like when there's no number in front of x, it means 1x. When there's no number in front of parentheses, it means 1 of whatever's in the parentheses. So I would rewrite that part as 1. I'm actually going to use pink here. 1 times 4y minus 6. And so then I would write the rest of it in like that. So there is a hidden 1. This is the thing that we want to talk about. When no number in front of parentheses, it's a hidden 1. Okay, then what I would do is I would do 1 times 4y and 1 times minus 6. So it would be 5. So I would rewrite my equation like this. 5 minus 4y, and then the question is, and then it's going to be 1 times 6, which is 6, but there is a weird thing that goes on here, and this is why I have taught you guys how to do keep, change. So when you do this, you may think that you're supposed to write 1 times 4y minus 6, which equals 1 times 4y is 4y, and 1 times 6 is 6, and then you put your minus signs there. But that's not how this actually works. So this is a wrong answer. It seems like it's right, but we're going to talk about why it's wrong next. The reason